It was a busy, bustling day on the island of Sodor. All over the island, steam engines and diesel engines were happily working together. Sir Topham Hatt came to see Thomas, said Sir Topham Hatt. Whistled Thomas proudly. But when Thomas arrived at the quarry, he had a nasty surprise. Oiled diesel, puffed Thomas proudly. Said Thomas crossly, and he began working at once. But Diesel was soon up to his old tricks. First, he shunted Thomas under the hopper. Spluttered Thomas. Then, when Thomas let off steam, Diesel sniffed loudly. He cried. Exclaimed Thomas. Huffed Thomas, but he was upset. That night, Thomas stayed at the quarry, but he couldn't sleep. Thomas said sadly. Thomas was worried. The next day, Salty had arrived. After he had been refueled, Diesel's engine started to rev faster and faster. He chuckled. Sighed Thomas. Even Mavis was excited by the new fuel. She said. Thomas was feeling left out. Soon Diesel was showing off. He boasted. Suddenly, Diesel's engine coughed. Then it started to splutter. Black, smelly smoke billowed from his exhaust. Wailed Diesel. Mavis started billowing smoke too. She groaned. The quarry manager was upset. He cried. Soon all the other diesels had broken down. Airy, Bert's, and even Salty had ground to a halt. So Sir Topham Hatt telephoned the quarry manager. And the quarry manager came to see Thomas. Whistled Thomas. And he steamed out of the quarry as fast as he could. At last, he arrived at the fuel depot. Thomas cried. Said the workman. Thomas was soon loaded with trucks carrying fuel drums. The fuel drums were very heavy. Thomas pushed with all his might. His pistons creaked and his wheels squeaked, but he kept on puffing. Thomas trundled all over the island with fresh fuel for everybody. For Salty, for Airy, and for Bert's. Thomas was feeling very tired, but he still had one more delivery to make. At the quarry, all work had stopped. Diesel was as green as a leaf. Mavis was feeling very glum. Then they heard a wonderful noise. It was Thomas. He steamed into the quarry with one final puff. He cried. Mavis and Diesel had all the bad fuel drained out of their engines, and all the good clean fuel poured in. Sighed Diesel. Purred Mavis. Soon the quarry was clattering with the sound of work. And finally, the important job was done. Sir Topham Hatt arrived on board Percy. Boomed Sir Topham Hatt. Puffed Thomas proudly. And even Diesel had to admit that Thomas is a very special engine. Even if he is a steamy.